30. We'll start in 30 seconds. Greetings, everybody. Could I ask everybody to mute that's not presenting, please? Your phones or your computers, can you please mute? And we want to thank everybody for coming out on Freedom Fridays. You know, we do this bi-monthly, the Woodson Banneker Jackson Bay Division 330. I'm holding the fort down for Baba Mosi, Zama, who are in Guyana. So yeah, they're in there enjoying themselves in good weather. So I'm going to start this off and get started. The Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society, and is founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the African Negro peoples of the world. And the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and respect the rights of all women and mankind, believing always in the sisterhood and brotherhood of woman and man, and the motherhood and fatherhood of the Most High God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all women and mankind, realizing that the strong oppresses the weak. Confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of woman and man, but with love.
Now, this has nothing to do with elders, because you'll have to repeat this all.
And charity towards all the rent of peace and plenty will be hurled into the world, and the generations of men and women shall be called blessed. Could I ask everybody to please mute themselves if they are not presenting? Oh, I see, Rue, you muted everybody. Okay, good. I'm going to get moving on with the pledge, and we're going to get right into it. We have a dynamic program tonight, this Freedom Friday, from the womb to the tomb, how the brain works. And our dear brother, and I'm gonna shorten his name, you know, because I don't want to mess it up. I see Baba Mosi is in. But anyway, without any further ado, I'm gonna do the pledge to the flag, and we're gonna get right into this, because I promise you all, you're gonna be uplifted and inspired. I ask you to take notes, but this is official flag, pledge to the flag. I commit my body, mind, and spirit to the protection, defense, and security of the red, black, and green. I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa and the liberation of her scattered Black children. I accept for myself and my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism, and I promise that our children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people, in order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail until all Black people are free and united through one God, one aim, and one destiny. And as 2020 says, one Africa. So I want everybody to hold Brother Congo, our vice president, in the light. He has a few health complications. Hopefully he's gonna be all right. Spoke to him today. I do see Baba Mosi is tuning in, even though he's down in Guyana. And if he wants to say anything before we officially open up, Baba, please do.
Okay, I got him. Hold on.
Oh, hey, Zama. So you got that safe.
Greetings.
Got that safe, bro, huh? Hey, Rue, you got to unmute Baba Mosi and Zama. Unmute Baba Mosi, Haru. Okay, Baba Mosi's having a problem unmuting, so we're going to move forward. I'm sure he'll have some remarks throughout the event. I know they're out of the country, but without any further ado, I want to bring on my dear brother. I like to call him Baba Professor Coco, but if he wants to give you any of the details, I'm going to leave it to him, because he definitely is no stranger to us. In fact, he's one of us. And not only that, he's one of the most powerful African-centered professors on the planet that keeps us focused on the real deal of why we are where we are. And I also want to say that we exonerate Garvey. And I'll let Athea in if I can. Yeah. So without any further ado, my brother, I'm gonna turn it over to you. We wanna say we exonerate Garvey. We know everybody's hot. And one good thing about what Biden did is it opened up a conversation for us to address the real issues, that Garvey was never a criminal and he should have never been charged. So it's opened up conversations all around the world. We've been doing a lot of things, and that's a good thing. But of course, pardon implies that you were guilty. Even though some people have said in the UK, pardon does not imply that. Pardon is a little different, but we still say we exonerate garbage. So as we go forward, my brother, I'm going to turn it over to you. And like I said, if Baba Mosi, do you want to say anything real quick while you're up?
Uh,
You up, Baba Mosi?
Things are kind of slow. I'm going to have some. We may have some technical issues, so I'll try to stay away from doing any
Okay.
communicating here.
I just wanted to let the people hear your voice. I'm glad you're safe and sound, and you got my brother Z down there with you. So without any further ado, Professor Coco.
Thank you.
Hotep, do I have audio?
Yes, sir.
I need the
Hotep.
brother.
Hotep.
Before I say another word, I'd like to ask those of you that may be 65 years of age on the planet, perhaps you would give me permission to continue speaking?
Please, by all means, we got quite a few of us that meet that.
Granted, my brother.
Okay, Asante Sana. I would also like to ask Baba Heru to actually allow me to participate in the host venue so that I can actually share my screen. Because as host only, I'm not able to open my screen up until I get permission from you all.
Now I made you co-host so you can share your screen.
Okay, so as soon as you do that, then I'll see if I can't.
Yeah, that was done a couple of minutes ago.
Okay, well, let's see if it'll open up. All right, so it should pop now. Let me know when you see the entire screen, okay?
You see the entire screen. The
Do you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so Hotep, absolutely, it is my honor. It's no way one can speak on this planet without acknowledging those who have come before your incarnation, and there's no way one can speak without acknowledging their ancestors. And momentarily, I'm going to share with you why I originally included a reference that made reference to womb to the tomb to demystify the Eurocentric views of how the brain works. I'm absolutely honored, and to be frank with you guys, this is always my joy. And because we're family, I'll tell you that when I finally got the confirmation, I didn't know that the brother was abroad and traveling. Neither did I know my other brother was in the swings of navigating his health in this domain. So I was really a little bit in a flux about which title to use. But when I saw this beautiful ebony, incredibly round, symmetrical, chocolate black baby, I just had to tweak everything that I thought I was going to share with you guys. And I just tweaked it about 35 minutes ago. So with that in mind, I'm sure you can see what's on the screen, and I'll summarize, as Baba alluded to, a synopsis of my background. I'm a behavioral neuroscientist by training. I have degrees in psychology, concentrations in biology, and my last degree is in neuroscience, or what we call psychophysiology, or basic neuroscience, biology, brain, behavior, relationships. All of my training took place at HBCUs. That means North Carolina A&T, Fisk University, Meharry Medical College, and Howard University. I want to put that out first because wherever you go, you have wisdom walkers that can give you some perspective and direction in life, though they may not point the compass in the direction that you'd like to go because you think you have your own compass, but you can always learn something from wisdom walkers that have come before you. With that in mind, I want to give a shout out to Baba Wade Boykin, who crossed over. His services will take place this Sunday at Howard University. He is one of my, I'll call him a co-jegna because he allowed me to give him the nickname Glide because he never seemed to walk. When I saw him moving from one place to the next, he seemed to always glide down the hall. So I want to give that brother a shout out, Baba Wade Boykin. Now, having stated that, of course, I give shout out to all our ancestors. And with that in mind, momentarily the slides will speak for themselves. Can you see uh, the sister with her palms around her belly on the right side of your screen? Okay, just above her belly button where you see the contrast with the light from the shadow to the light, it would literally be a dark line there. And that dark line would run up to the top of her garment, down to the bottom part of her garment, and a straight vertical line literally crossing over her belly button or her navel. Why am I mentioning that to you? Because in a couple of moments, we're going to talk about the power of melanin. And as you can see, this full pouty lip representation of a black baby child and a baby inside to get out. I applaud whoever pulled this together because it is absolutely indicative of what we're going to be talking about. And so moving forth, let's do this dance as we engage in going beyond from the womb to the tomb, but how the brain works during that entire process. Did the screen change to the secret life of the unborn child?
Yeah, Bo.
Okay, I'm using these things as an anchor because when you get trained, contrary to what a lot of people think, though Africans respond to you based upon your spirit, when you're in academia, it doesn't matter if it's HBCU. Oftentimes, those of us that walk the halls in academia at HBCU, some of us have been so well trained that we often neglect to realize that our real sacred, meaningful knowledge comes from our ancestors. So the reason why you see this slide is when you make statements about things that a lot of well-trained melanin-dominant humans are unable to grasp because of the distractions, you have to give them references so that you can let them know there are citations in place. Now, Thomas Verney, a psychiatrist, John Kelly, they generated this book a good 25 to 30 years ago. Why is it here? Because we're going to talk about from the womb to the tomb and beyond. The reason why we're going to talk about from the womb to the tomb and beyond is because Europeans have conditioned us to think that we stop when we go from the womb to the tomb. And we're going to make all this clear before we leave this evening. So the secret life of the unborn child. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that when women are with child, oftentimes they go into a state that we refer to as nesting. They may spend a lot of time touching their stomach. And if cell phones were not even around, they would be having these conversations. And people that didn't know, they didn't really know unless they paid attention that they were really conversing with their spirit about to bloom from their womb. And they did this regularly. As a matter of fact, it was so common among melanin-dominant people and First Nation people that oftentimes you would see the stereotype of a rocking chair. And she would be rocking and singing and doing things to soothe that spirit that's undulating inside of her room, to her womb, to christen that child with the force of life. You see the word here, baby, babi. The ancient Egyptians had a term that related to when spirits manifest. The English individuals that came into a hodgepodge of phonemes to create words taken from the old languages on the planet that were always generated by melanin-dominant people or people of color, they didn't know that the ancient Kemetans or Egyptians had a word that meant when the spirit manifests. And to this day, brown and black people, and when you go to the Polynesian islands, diaspora, go to continental Africa, people will ask you, even whatever their tongue is, somewhere in that language would be, what is your state of being? But they typically will ask you how the children are first, because they will observe you once they've said, tell me how the children. The word baby means when the spirit has manifest. Why is this here? Because we're going to take a little deep dive into looking at the significance of understanding why it's such a big deal about melanin and brown babies. On your left, you see the APGAR scores. The APGAR scores, they still use them, but they came in vogue in the early 50s. They modified them just a teeny tiny bit in the mid to late 50s. The APGAR represents the activity, the pulse, the grimace, and the appearance of the child. When you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 2, you get 10. That's where the terminology began to anchor. Are you a 10? So when you look at the baby here, in theory, based upon the APGAR scale, this child would have wound up getting an 8 because he's not a rosy pink like this baby here. So this child would be denied the 10 because they would refer to babies that were not pink and rosy. You may not know it, but they used to refer to those babies as being under the rubric of having poor circulation. And they said that those kids were oftentimes, they were about to expire, they called them blue babies. Now, I'm bringing this up to give you a context for how we talk about the brain and what this means to us socializing our children and what it means to how we talk about our children, how we talk about each other. You also note that this child has sort of curly hair and this child has straight hair. And I'm not going to give you a lecture about it, but I'm going to plug it in when we start talking about brain development. How you feel is tied to how you conduct yourself interacting with people that make you feel welcome or not welcome, or just like you don't even exist. So what does that mean? You've seen it, you hear it all the time. And I like to rub it in because it's part of our day-to-day reality. Are there any among you that have had occasion to ride the green line in the past 5 years? And if you have, I'm sure you've heard black people say in particular, damn, that is a fine sister. She's a red ball. Or that's a good looking brother because he's high yellow and he has good hair. So I know you know about those things, all right? Now I'm bringing this up because add that to the equation when babies were born and women were socialized to think that if they had a dark baby, they would be wondering, and they would say it sometimes, wow, he's going to have a rough life because they are highly pigmented. And then some people would say, usually aunts, uncles, and sometimes girlfriends would say, oh, that's a pretty baby. Look at that baby. He has good hair too, even as an infant. And I know you all know what I'm talking about. So add that to the equation of having a medical protocol that says that if you're born on the planet and if you are not a rosy pink color, then you are basically at risk of not being viewed as a healthy baby. So I don't want to negate the fact that those other things that you see over there are critically important. But I'm highlighting to let you know that they would check your pulse, what was your expression on your face, your collective appearance, which tied back into your complexion, and what was your breathing like. As a matter of fact, Europeans used to be so primitive, and they did it to a lot of people over the age of 65, or clearly over the age of 65. When the baby was born, they would actually grab them by their ankles, their teeny tiny feet, hold them upside down, and smack them across the back of their developing scapulae, their shoulder blades, until the child actually cried. And they did that to say, you know, they're basically making you breathe. But now we know from studying midwifery, which they did all along in ancient Kemet, they gave the mother of the child an opportunity to hold the child near her breast and to massage the child and to sort of like move just gently with the umbilical cord. You see how Africans, how First Nation people birth their children versus smacking the hell out of them as soon as you come in the world? And I'm not exaggerating. All of these things impact brain development. So when you plug it into the foundation statement, I started off by telling you, melanin, it's the key, it's the critical ingredient to everything that we would talk about. Neuromelanin is absolutely essential for a human to be born. If you don't have neuromelanin, you are going to spontaneously abort. It's absolutely essential because it's the part that allows the brain to develop. And I'm just going to give you a couple of examples here so I won't go into any detail. For example, the retina in the back of your eye allows you to see. It's highly pigmented, deep clusters of pigments to allow you to differentiate between a bright light and dim light. Critical parts in your brain, the substantia nigra and the locus ceruleus. This is actually dark blue-black, and this is actually dark black. From Latin mean the substance that's black, substantia nigra. And you have melanin content throughout your body. Why am I bringing this up? It'll be clear to you momentarily. If you take a peek at this person on the left who's an albino, and if you've had close proximity conversations with albinos and he or she did not have on sunglasses, you would note that their eyes are literally moving back and forth, sort of swiftly, rather quickly back and forth. That's called nystagmus. They're just moving back and forth, very, very quickly. Some people don't call it nystagmus, but it's the swift movement of the eyes. Why are the eyes moving so swiftly? So that the eye, the actual aperture or the pupil in your eye can capture enough light to make sense out of it. And so they're moving back and forth. So wherever there is just a little bit of pigment or less amounts of pigments, the eyes can actually encode that information and make sense out of what they're looking at. That's literally tied to neuromelanin or the melanin in the back of your eye. Now I want to dive into talking to you about why it's a myth when we talk about from the womb to the tomb, because this is going to be foundation for what we discuss. Now, the Europeans gave you a view about quote unquote heaven and hell and earth. They even told you something about purgatory. But why am I highlighting this for you? You may not know it, but along here you will see all these iconic features or elements of energy. Now, that's going to be really clear when I take you to the next slides. But you will also see this baby in this basket that's sort of like in a celestial domain of celestial space. Check this out. Europeans don't like to admit it, but one of your last gangster presidents a few decades ago, Ronald Reagan, that brother's wife practiced astrology like you wouldn't believe. Now, why am I bringing this up? I'm talking to you now about celestial spheres. Celestial spheres that you see in space we refer to that as astronomy. That's the actual location in terms of the distance of one star from another star, how many parsecs you have to travel in space, how long does it take for the light to reach your planet. But astrology is the science that became associated with where those celestial figures were. And I'm bringing this up because there is Asian astrology, also known as Chinese astrology. There is Indian or Dravidic astrology. And of course, there's old Kemetic astrology. Why am I telling you this? Because there are a lot of people that have been so trained into classic Christianity that they fail to realize that when they talk about the signs and the symbols, give you a concrete example. The Christ represents the sun in their natural zodiac, and the Christ represents the Krishna. But Christ representing the sun was tied to ancient Kemet. In a little while, I'm going to show you how this is also tied to the Japanese, their flag, and that red symbol on their flag. And the reason why I'm bringing up the Japanese, so that you will know, the original individuals that occupied that part of the land were bronze and dark brown people. So let's be really clear about that. So when I start talking to you about your Asian brothers, you won't think I'm talking about the stereotypes that Hollywood gave you about the contour of their eyes, the shape of their eyes, and having fair skin. So what does this have to do with from the womb to the tomb? Pay close attention. The human brain is an amazing organ. It keeps working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 52 weeks a year from before you leave the womb right up until you find religion. I didn't say tomb. I said until you find religion. And religion means to bind you to a certain way of thinking. You will also note that you see here, as I made reference to the human eye, the retina, when you talk about a person that's able to see, and they can process the colors because it's a special class of receptors in your eyes that are called cones, which means they're processing brighter amounts of light. The rods process smaller or lesser amounts of light. What does it have to do with the slide that I just referenced back here to take you to this slide? I know a lot of you guys have heard of Shintoism, but you may not know that Shintoism is intimately tied to ancient Kemetic beliefs, ancient African beliefs. For example, in Shintoism, I'm going to take you to a slide to highlight it for you momentarily so you can follow it through. Most of you have heard of Aton, all right? The symbol relating to the sun. Most of you may not know that Aton was associated with the pharaoh Akhenaten, all right? Or some people call him Akhenaton. But the pharaoh Akhenaten, according to Europeans' interpretation of how he was viewed by the priests, he made the people that were acknowledging the Netaru, or the different attributes of God, to let them know that they all came from one primary source, Aton. And Aton is the sun. As a matter of fact, the word pharaoh means priest of the sun, okay? So when I made a comment about your Asian brothers, the Asian brothers, they had a belief system. And the reason why I say they had a belief system is because they cannot tell you exactly how old it is, but they can tell you they embraced it so that a lot of people wouldn't think they had to go through some of the classic forms of Buddhist chanting. They literally did what your First Nation people do. They had a relationship with nature. They acknowledged their ancestors. And for people that may not know, let me give you a clue. If you ever saw that little movie that Disney did about Mulan, which was taken from, some people say mythology, people that know about the culture and history say it came from the story of this girl that dressed like a man so that she could join the army because her father was ill. And you saw Eddie Murphy's character was like a little dragon. And they awakened the ancestors. And you saw the ancestors debating and arguing about what they wanted to happen. You saw the exact same thing in Black Panther. When you saw the Black Panther go back to visit his ancestors, he was literally communicating with them after he took this particular compound to allow him to have what you guys would call an in-depth awakening of an out-of-the-body experience so he could visit his ancestors on the other side. So in Shintoism, they believe that your ancestors are always with you. In ancient African beliefs, they believe that your ancestors are always with you. And for some people that are familiar with some of the names that associate with different shrines and belief systems in Africa, they'll know about Oshun. They'll know about how Oshun relates to the water. And you also see the shrine here that's connected the water to the air, to the sky, the fire, and to, obviously, if it's in the water, it's anchored, it's sitting on something, or it's overseeing the water. So they're talking about all of the elements. First Nation people had the exact same beliefs. And as a matter of fact, we refer to the Netaru as the different attributes of the qualities or attributes of that which we refer to as the god goddess. Because ancient Egyptians and ancient Africans were not wrapped up into this misogynist crap the Europeans have laid on their women. It's like man, woman. If you look at the etymology in the words, you'll find out that man and woman coexist because there would be no man without woman. Hence, from the womb of woman comes man. Neither would there be a male because male follows female. You follow me? So you have female, male all together. That doesn't mean that you are literally androgynous. That means that you are, when I get to the definition for human, I'll save it till I get there, because when I tell you what a human is, you're going to plug into this definition like it's something that you may not have heard before. But nonetheless, the Orishas or Shinto, the Kami or Kami, the forces or agents of nature referred to as the Kami, and they had different names. Your ancestors are eternal, and they're always accessible to you by way of special rituals. And you remember the compound they gave the Black Panther so that he could actually go to the other side. Some of you probably heard of ayahuasca. They give you this so that you can find your icon and you do dream traveling, hopefully in the presence of a shaman or someone that's wise enough to guide you, because otherwise you may think you're having hallucinations while you're traveling from one dimension to the next. Again, this is going to be very clear to you when we start talking about the brain and how the brain develops. I just shared with you about Shintoism. The beliefs in Shintoism literally overlap the 42 laws of Ma'at, the negative confessions. They overlap. You probably got a little bit of knowledge about Shintoism, but you didn't know it was Shintoism if you ever saw the Kung Fu series that came on American television, probably another 3 or 4 decades ago, with James Carradine character playing a character that Li Wangfang developed. Li Wangfang was Bruce Lee. He developed the original scripts for the actual story, but he clearly looked too Asian because he is Asian. And obviously, Vanilla brothers and sisters did not want Americans to see someone with the kind of skills that he had, the kind of ability to go into deep meditation that he had, and could fight the way he fought if he was in fact an Asian. So they tried to compromise a teeny tiny bit a few years later when they gave you the Green Hornet with Kato. And Kato had to wear a mask, all right? And Bruce Lee was beneath that mask, i.e. Li Wangfang. And he was helping a Vanilla brother that they called the Green Hornet. Why? Because he had these skills that Vanilla people were like, oh, hell no. There's no way in the world you're going to disarm Vanilla males, beat the crap out of them, render them unconscious, take their weapons. That was too much for mainstream Americans to process on their television. So why am I bringing this back up? The negative confessions or the 42 laws of Ma'at, they all overlap what the individuals that believed in Shintoism embraced. And you can see it highlighted here. I'll give you a couple of examples. They'll tell you the main tenets of Shintoism or the Shinto, the only way to arrive at divine nature. And for the record, the word nature has vowels in it in English. You see the A, the U, and the E, but the ancient Egyptians called that neter, all right? And the plural of neter is the netaru, all right? So it was NTR, all right? And when you put the U on it, it represented the whole pantheon of all those attributes of God. Europeans had the audacity to say that these people were not acknowledging the attributes of God. They believed in many gods. They said they were polytheistic. But the Africans are like, you tripping. We see God in everything. First Nation people did the same thing. We see God, goddess in our children. And some of the Jewish brothers that toy with the knowledge a little bit, they will tell you when you use the term Emmanuel, it means God is within you. And you must awaken the God/goddess inside of you in order to be God-like. Again, a little while, you're going to see how much this is intimately tied to brain development. So the affirmation relates to family and upholding the values and traditions of the family structure. You can still find black people over the age of 40. If you say some smart sideways crap out of your mouth about their mother, you might get lit. The conversation going to get lit, or they're going to tell you like, yo, hold up. Like, don't bring my mother into this conversation. And that's another reason why when they looked at mainstream psychology, a lot of Africans were like, you got to be tripping. Don't be asking me about having relationships with my mom. That's some sick crap. We don't even think that way. But Freudian psychology would ask people about relationships that you may have thought that you were going to have with your mother, because Europeans used that stuff. And Freud was a neurologist, and he got a peekaboo perspective about insight when he went to Africa. Why am I bringing this up? Because just like you saw in The Wizard of Oz, the trees had consciousness, Just like you saw in Roots Kunta Kinte, when Kunta went out to get wood from a tree to make a drum, he talked to the tree. You follow me? And when First Nation people would go and hunt and take the life of a buffalo, they would tell the buffalo. Even when they would take the life of a deer, they would say, "This is for my family." You know, may we bring life into other people's lives with your life. And this is why you're being sacrificed. So they respected everything. Okay? And that's because I'm sharing with you that the kami or the belief systems in Shintoism, like the Japanese will say to you that understand their history, that they recognize nature and everything. Also, just like the Muslims, cleanliness is critical. Europeans, if you were to go to what's George Washington's home out Fort, what is that place called? Is it Fort Myer? No, that's the military base. What's the place called where George Washington's house is out here in Virginia? Well, anyway,
Fort Washington.
yeah, Fort Washington. So check this out. Um, they would tell you stories if you go out there how European women will wear a little flower or they will have a sachet at their breast and men would have it at the lapel because they were not clean. They had a protocol in place to believe like you bathe every 7 to 10 days. You feel me? And in Japan and the ancient Egyptians made the Romans aware that they had bathhouses, right? And so everybody understood cleanliness. And Muslims will not pray unless they made salat. That's if they're Muslim. They have a ritual cleansing. Usually the nose, the mouth, and the ears, and some water flushed across their eyes, wash their hands up to their elbows, because they are coming to acknowledge the attributes of the Great Spirit through the representation of Allah, and they want to come clean. Are you feeling me? And you hear this expression a lot when people have done stuff. Some people would say, "Look, man, like, yo, like, just become clean with me, bro. You know, just come clean with me, all right? I mean, don't bring me no dirt. Come clean with me." Because cleanliness is next to godliness, as you have heard. Are you following me? You also see the Shintoists like brush your teeth, take baths regularly. And you know for a fact, not my opinion, Europeans, you had to remind them of that. A lot of it, I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt because it was cold as hell there and they didn't have access as much, free running water, i.e. in streams, as other people did. But there's still no excuse not to bathe, all right? If we had time, I'd tell you why European women wear high heel shoes, but that's a detailed lecture. So check this out. I just told you about the baby and the developing of the brain. This is a big word. It only became in vogue probably in the past 15 years, within the past 15 years, because vanilla people used to always tell, the reason why I say vanilla, because otherwise I have to explain to you what a human is, and I'll tell you that momentarily, because there is no such thing as white people. Dr. Francis Quartz Wilson used to always say to you, the people who identify and classify themselves as white, all right? There is no such thing as white people. As a matter of fact, I hope I didn't lose my Canadian friend, but he hasn't spoken to me in about 3 years. I hope it's because he retired, because I made a comment one time about vanilla people not being white. They're translucent, and you see the capillary bed giving them the appearance of they have the color what you call pigskin. Are you following me? And nobody wants to be told that the Black Panthers engaged in that language a long time ago, but most people didn't know that Huey Newton and what Brother Bobby had in mind when they were calling these people pigs. And it had to do with some of the things that I'm telling you. And see, I'll tell you stuff like this. I'll probably go to work and say, "Dr. Rasayon, you said a number of things were inflammatory online, and we've just decided that you're just creating too many problems here." The truth is always a problem. The unique thing about the Donald is the Donald will say, "Yeah, I told you a lie, and now I'm going to act on the other things that I told you I would do, but forget about the lies that I told you." You follow me? Democrats, on the other hand, will very diplomatically, subtly tell you things they're going to do and things they say they have done, and they change it back and forth. It's like getting on one donkey and getting on another donkey. You got all your water on donkey A, and you're going from point A to point B, and the other people say, "Well, you can no longer ride a donkey. You have to ride an elephant. You have to leave everything that you were carrying now behind." And Republicans come along, and they flip everything around. And the Democrats come back, and they flip everything back. And as the First Nation people would tell you over and over again, remember that bird. Though that bird is an eagle, it can fly high, but it flies nowhere without two wings. One wing you call the Democrat, one wing you call the Republican, but they're on the same bird. So this symbolism that you see, this baby inside of this teardrop, this represents the most sacred form of microbiology and cellular physiology that you could imagine, all right? If you were to cry and really have tears streaking your cheeks And if your water level is low in your body, which means you really need to hydrate, your tears will leave saline trails on your cheek. It looks like little strands of white little crystalline dots on your cheek. That's because there's too much salt in your body. You follow me? And you don't have enough fluid in your body to have the right balance of electrolytes in your body. Now, this tear here represents what goes inside of a person. It can come out of a person, and it can come out of a person in a manifestation of your children. That's where this word comes in. And Europeans realized that we couldn't just talk about genetics with the so-called nature nurture, which means did it come from your genes? Or did it come from the environment? They finally realized it comes packaged in your genes, and your genes can be modified by your environment. And if your environment modifies your genes, it has the ability to turn your genes up or turn your genes down or turn them off and turn them on. Are you following me? And they call it epigenetics. And in a little while, we're going to take another deep dive into you understanding that how you think, what you believe, the hormones in your environment can totally change the way your brain develops its neuronal pathways. You see people a lot, and they'll be in toxic relationships. You'll see children. Sometimes people have been treated so badly that they suppress those memories. They don't even come to consciousness. And you say, what's wrong with you? I don't know. Because you suppress it. You lock it down. Why do you lock it down? It's too painful to pull up and recall. Dr. Joy DeGroot dropped a lot of information about melanin-dominant people having post-traumatic slavery syndrome, because it wasn't that you literally became the descendant of a quote-unquote enslaved person. You have allowed your mind to be enslaved by the programming that you receive from other relatives that may not be woke. And they will give you a beat down if you bring up things that they're not familiar with. If you say you're going to use astrology, God forbid you mention tarot cards. Don't bring that demon stuff in this house. That's demonic. That's demon. You say, well, I'm going to go in the room and sit down and burn a candle, and I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to look at this crystal ball to find focus. They will say, you just need to take the Lord into your life and put your faith in the Lord. That's all you need to do. You all remember that scene in the movie that Spike Lee did about Malcolm X? You saw Malcolm and Malcolm's silhouette of his person. It was like driving on a train or in the car. And yeah, it was on, I think, a metro or the train or whatever. And the lady said, Jesus will protect you. And you saw Malcolm's character like, oh, shit. Who's going to protect me? And I know the people that are over 65 have visited a relative here and there in the Midwest, below Detroit down to Alabama, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. You found when you go and visit your great-grandmother, she may have that picture of Michelangelo on the wall with that long, strainy hair of the person that they said captured the personification of the Christ. You follow me? I can tell you something. I actually visited a relative, I would say at least about 65 years ago. And I remember going to this person's home, and they were so upset with me when I went back up to Michigan, because I had taken the magic marker I had given to Jesus an afro, and I gave him a goatee. I painted all over that. And this is a fact, because I never forget, because I got jacked about it as soon as I got back to Motown. Well, Coco, did you do so-and-so and so when you went to Aunt so-and-so? I tried to lie about it, but I said, yes, ma'am, I did that. Why? Because my father used to introduce me to things about the apocryphal books in the Bible before regular quote-unquote Christians would even breathe a word about anything other than the King James Version. Now, what does this have to do with this baby here? What you believe determines how you think. This sister, Harriet Washington, she dropped a book to talk about how we poison the brains of our children. How we are poisoning our children. And I mean the brain in particular. Some of us don't even know what to buy. You see this? Your brain, your mind, a terrible thing to waste. Environmental racism and its assault on the American mind. All right? Now, I want to share something with you. The mind is intangible. The brain is tangible. But you hear any black person on any given day having a conversation with someone about something that you know is from left field, and black folk will say in a heartbeat, hold up, Slim. Yo, slow your roll. You must have lost your damn mind. And then you meet other people that are educated, well-trained, in school, sophomores, juniors, They're in their third, fourth, fifth semester. You ask them, what are you studying? I'm not sure yet. I'm trying to find myself. Hold up. You're in college. You've been here for a year and a half, and you're trying to find what you should probably study. That means you have waste fundamental time available to you to concentrate on the core courses that you need. Because when you go to college, contrary to popular belief, you'd be surprised how many of your professors don't know who the hell they are. Are you following me? And if they don't know who they are, you're certainly going to be up their creek if you're waiting for them to tell you who you are, because we're trained to identify students with some general theme of trying to help them learn how to think. But if you're in graduate school, we're looking for somebody to do our research that we can put to work so that we can get publications out and go up that academic ladder of either being tenured or a professor emeritus or a distinguished professor, because that Eurocentric protocol is still in those environments. So again, that's why I'm not like locking down and like, well, I have a degree in this. No, 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 no. You need to have a degree in consciousness, and your consciousness actually changes based upon the climate that you live in, the zeitgeist. Like to this day, I bet you if you were to interview 100 people, you would find probably about 80 of them saying, I was pretty sure Kamala was going to win. You follow me? And they're gonna say that to you. And the other 20%, they may say, well, it's kind of hard to tell and blah, blah, blah. You may get that kind of answer. And I think the Democrats thought they were going to win. And I'll save that conversation for another lecture about what I think may have happened, what I call the Putin nudge, and also the algorithms in the voting booths. But it's a lot of things happen around this election. Now, what does it have to do with the human brain? This brother has already begun to intimidate your brown brothers and sisters who were here before Christopher Columbus got lost. Chris was lost like I don't know what. That's why he thought he was looking at Dravidians when he called the First Nation people who had names like Salaji, Apache, all right? I mean, Iroquois, all right? Choctaw. He thought he was talking to people in India. It's like, yo, these are Indians. I'll be damned, these people had specific names tied to their tribal allegiance. As a matter of fact, they were so smart, the Iroquois Nation, Benjamin Franklin, I think his other sidekick name was Payne, they got together and they stole from the First Nation people the foundation to come up with their foundation for their government. They literally stole it. You look at the 13 arrows you see on the back of American currency. You follow me? And the eagle climber, they used to put them on a nickel. These people are fundamentally, by nature, incompatible with nature because the environment that they were socialized in was cold and harsh. So they always were fighting nature. But I don't need to tell you about the F gerundive term that goes in front of nature. The F gerundive term that goes in front of nature with the ing on it. And they'll say, you don't F with Mother Nature. And Mother Nature is feminine. So back to me showing you that child and the symbolism here when we're talking about brain development at the top. You see, womb to the tomb, you are dying. Let's talk about it. Remember, you don't die. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It changes form. Some of your brothers and sisters that embrace Buddhism and some of them that embrace reading from the Kama Sutra Vatsayana, those individuals would say you reincarnated, all right? And depending upon a number of other things, because energy cannot be what? It cannot be destroyed. It always changes form. Where's the water that you saw on your grass early in the morning? It got sucked back up into the clouds and came back down to the planet as dew. Where's the water that you put in your house and you left it in the refrigerator and you moved it to the freezer? It became ice. It changed form. Where's the water that you put in the kettle to make yourself some tea and you heated it up too long and the colloidals actually changed into vapor? It evaporated. Where's the water that you see when you're cold as crap inside your flat, your home, your house, and you put your breath on the window pane, the glass, and it actually creates moisture? Watch what I tell you now about water and how intimately tied it is to the human brain. Look at this. America's high maternal mortality rates. Pay close attention. Your First Nation brothers and sisters, look at that, 29.7. Look at your melanin dominant people and look at the top. Pregnancy-related mortality ratios are 3.2 times higher for Black women, 2.3 times higher for First Nation, people from Inuit people, or true Alaskan people, than for Caucasian women. Now, I would suggest to you, there's some strange stuff going on there. particularly when constitutionally, and this data's dropped 2019 just before your pandemic started dancing around. We have something called maternal deserts. And I'm going to share with you how this impacts brain development and your unborn child. It's so unique that they've actually created a problem across your planet. You see where you find melanin dominant people clustered here? And you know, if you go to Mumbai, it used to be Bombay, people around India, the Dravidian people, and the Polynesian island people, wherever you found clusters of brown people in density, look at the stunting that happened to them, 40% greater problems, because it's a cycle. You see the apple missing here, you see the banana missing here, you see the natural grains missing here. Growing up in a city, in a food desert, you guarantee to have some kind of brain compromise. That's by design. Some of you folk around the DMV, I'm sure you heard of a prison called Lawton Prison, used to be out in Virginia. All right? That prison was really close to where they used to burn tires and debris. Okay? They had those individuals out there. And they had those individuals out there, the quality of the water, like in a lot of penal institutions. Like if you had to go up to Rikers Island, people will be telling you about the quality of the water where people are locked up. These people have a system. That's why Dr. Francis Cress Welsing made it very clear. It's called the system of racism and white supremacy. And I meet people and they'll say, well, Dr. Rasayon, why you talk about racism so much? Why you talk about the story so much, the narrative? I said, because you are being trained to do harm to your people if you don't understand the relationship of these things to the access to natural resources, i.e. food and water. I'm not going to dance with this, but this was 2021 when people were making available poor qualities of baby food to people. And you know, a lot of people that have to work that 9 to 5 and they have to work, go back and forth, they're going to be in and out of Walmart buying the baby food at the best possible price they can get because they couldn't afford to get a car to be in Costco or one of those other places. You feel me? So these people, they do stuff like this. When I say these people, check this out. This brother, Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? This little part of this graphic here, many people continue to assert that it is we who are in charge of the world. But if you read above that, within 1 linear centimeter, that's like the fingernail breadth of your little finger, or from the cuticle of your finger to the tip of your finger, that fingernail, and the part of your colon, 100 billion bacteria are there. And this brother's a physicist. But now he's telling you about some things that relate to neurochemistry and neurobiology. Now, why did I put him here? The good thing about science is that it's true whether or not you believe in it. And the reason why I put him here to let you know that these things that I'm telling you, I'm not giving you my opinions. If I gave you my opinions, I would be in a whole bunch of trouble. And I'm going to be in a little bit of good trouble, like that brother says. What's the brother's name, the congressman with the full lips? You all know his name. Help me out here. You pull his name up in a little while. You get in good trouble. He said a lot. Lewis, so move forward. Look at the brain of a 3-year-old child. Look at the brain of the child that's quote unquote normal. All right? This is a crown shot of them looking at the cortex, but it's actually a layer taken from a CAT scan. MRI will have better resolution. That's magnetic resonance imaging. A CAT scan is computerized axial tomography, which means they're taking shots, little slices of shots, right? Look at the brain when you have extreme neglect. The brain shrinks up. You have problems down in here around memory. I'm going to show you a more easily accessible slide in a couple of seconds, right? Prolonged exposure to trauma triggers physiological changes in the brain. You haven't got to be a genius to know that racism is trauma. You follow me? There was a brother, I wish I knew his name, but he was a parent of one of the kids that lost her life or transformed during the bombings in Birmingham, Alabama. You may not know, Condoleezza Rice was a member of that crew. I think Condoleezza Rice also attended that church, but she wasn't in church that day when these 4 girls lost their lives. And this is what their father said on a transcript I had access to probably about 15 years ago. I have to look for it now. he made a statement. You guys are old enough to have heard of stores before they had Walmarts and CVS. They had stores called Woolworth stores, all right? And they had another class of stores that were like big pharmacies, right? Now, in the Woolworth, they used to have something like a lunch counter. And this father said that um, when his little girl asked him before she lost her life, he said what he saw when he saw her in the casket was a memory of him not being able to take her to the counter at Woolworth and buy her a burger and a shake because they were not allowed to do that. And he said that made him feel so sad. This young child had passed, been a victim of murder by the Ku Klux Klan, today also known as a derivation of the Proud Boys, right? Literally put in place a level of stress and sadness that he said he just didn't know how to handle because he could not take his child to get her a burger in the Woolworth and a shake because that's what she said she wanted. And I forgot what he said. He told her about why he couldn't do that. He implied that the mother would make them a really nice shake of burgers or something when they got home. Now, you see what happens with racism, but see what happens when you start doing things beyond your control that bathe you in emotions that can make you so sad. For the record, when you get really sad, your body releases a compound called cortisol. Cortisol is like low drip battery acid. Now, it's okay when you have enough just to make you motivated. But when you get it over and over again, it will give you brain damage. When you get it over and over again, it will disrupt your organs' ability to function properly. When you get it over again, it can undermine the ability of your kidneys to function properly. It can undermine anything that you can imagine. If you're constantly subject to cortisol overload or stress cumulatively, it will give you brain damage. The general term referred to as inflammation. These are the slides that I was referencing for you a little while ago. Where you see these circles here on the left, this is positron emission tomography, where they put a contrast medium in it so that they can get a better picture. But today we'll use something, to my opinion, a little bit more sophisticated. But check this out. You see where you see this red and this green here? Healthy brain. You see low blue and black activity here, which means that this part of the brain that's tied to the temporal lobes, nuclei in this part of your brain are tied to memory, emotion, and affect. As you can see highlighted here, this is what they said to you in the slide. Deprivation in infancy. This child, let's see, the PET scan of the brain of a Romanian orphan. You all remember when the Romanian kids would come in here, they had the wars and everybody was saying adopt them. Then the vanilla people started sending the kids back on the damn plane with a name tag on because those kids had not been socialized. And so they were kind of rambunctious, a little intense, too much for their average American family to handle and give guidance to because they had not been touched, held, embraced. They were not nurtured. And humans are tactile creatures. They need to be touched. I know you guys know about folks spooning. They just want to cuddle up in bed. If you got a honey, she's your honey. She want to cuddle up in bed with you, oftentimes when it's cold outside or whatever. Because humans produce another compound when you hug somebody. There's a whole bunch of them. The classic one would be oxytocin, right? And then you get a little bit of balance of serotonin. Why am I bringing this up? These things that I'm telling you about, they change how the brain lays the architecture out. Have you ever noticed when people are putting down new asphalt for the freeway? First, they'll clean off the old asphalt, they'll put the new asphalt down, but they don't put the signage and the lines on it until the asphalt has cooled, right? And then after they put the signage on it, you know, with the lanes and stuff like that, you might get a rumble strip on the side if you're in a decent city, then they put the signage along the side of the road, right? Your brain isn't really any different than that. When you get information laying down, meaning information introduced to you, your brain creates a pathway for it. Simple example would be, I'll show you a slide momentarily. If you ever seen some people that would say, stop walking through my yard because you created a path because you've beaten down the bed of grass, right? And it's just dirt, there's no grass. The irony of that is wherever you travel a lot or utilize pathways in your brain, you lay out new pathways. We call those neuronal pathways a big word I'm going to show you a slide for in a little while called neuroplasticity. There it is, neuroplasticity. Our routines make routes in our brain. It's empowering to know that we can reroute our brains with mindfulness to make better habits and more helpful thought patterns. Now, people have been knowing about mindfulness for a long time. You all ever had that grandmother, or you ever had that mother or their older relatives, they say, look, boy, you better stop thinking like that. Stop thinking like that. You better stop thinking like that. And you're like, why? It's just like people that do well. You talk to some of these guys that play sports, they'll say, man, I have my thoughts in that, man. It's like, I knew that. I was feeling that. You feel me? Same thing about relationships. The average human male, particularly if he's a melanin dominant male, he doesn't know that a lady has already screened him up and down the street, around the block, in the neighborhood by the time she walks up to him to talk to him. And then she might say something smart. She has the coordinates or the proclivity to say, what took you so long? I've been checking you out for a long time. And you're trying to get your nerve together. Because women are powerful. They are really powerful. And conscious men know that. These little fools running around here calling you shorties and crap, they don't know that. You feel me? So look at this. This modifies your brain. Look, mental like this can be a thought, feeling, or action. Neurons fire together, forming a brief connection. You follow me? The general example would be, unless you are master of a special martial art techniques where you know how the pressure points are, if you want to inflict some pain on someone, you don't tap them with one finger at a time. You bring your fingers together so that you can get a smack or slap, or you cluster your fingers together and get it into a fist. You can have a much more meaningful impact. Your neurons are the same way. When you get a whole bunch of them together to do something, to think about something, people would say, you're not going to change my mind. I have my mind all made up. Which means you got a whole neuronal bundle saying, reinforcing those things, because you've learned that this is what I'm going to do. And children are good at it. Children are so good at it. And in a little while, I'm going to give you an example of how good they are at it. You see these little yellow things here? Look, new thought skills carve out new pathways. I don't care how many videos you saw, they didn't have them in place when you were kids growing up. People go online, look at YouTube. Yeah, you can look at YouTube, but YouTube's not going to tell you how to tread the water. You need to get into that damn water. You follow me? You can look at YouTube and think you can learn how to ride a special type of bike, but you're not going to get a handle on that till the vestibular system in your brain, connected to your ears, your sense of balance, tell you how to shift your body while you're riding that bike or that motorcycle. You see guys riding motorcycles on the freeway, the novice guys may be riding fast and they will turn the wheel. The guys that know how to ride, I need to lean into this turn, because on this bike with two wheels, if I don't, I'm going to be thrown off this bike and lose my sense of focus, because the bike goes where I guide it. Same thing about a horse. You riding a damn horse, you can say, okay, turn left. Horse said, what? You got to kind of pull the guide to get the horse to go to the left, or tap him on the side of the head to tell him you want to go in that direction. And if you like the horse, you might rub the horse a little bit, pat the horse, squeeze the horse a little bit with your legs. But the brain is no different. It responds to what you give it. You see how it looks? This is neuroplasticity. Neurons in brains, as proven, have modification ability called neuroplasticity. The reason why they say plasticity has the ability to modify itself. That's why I told you earlier. If you're thinking a bunch of negative thoughts, you're going to have that crap inside of your head. We call it luggage. You can meet the finest honey in the world. She can have eyes. She can have a body that's blissful. She could teach geometry in her walk. You follow me? She could smell like a fine orchard of peaches and all kinds of damn fruits. But she started talking a bunch of yak to you, and you're like, damn, girl, she's unloading a lot of luggage on you. Then you realize the junk in the trunk that may have caught your eyes will not compensate for the junk that's all coiled up inside of her head. Same thing for guys. Brother come to you and start talking all this narcissistic dialogue about all the things he's done. A little bit like Donald's signature. That brother covers up about 15 to 20% of a page when he signs his name on it. And he cannot write with a regular stylus or a damn crayon, a pen. He has to write with a big ass damn magic marker. What do they call those magic markers? He writes on it looks like a damn highlighter. The brother doesn't sign his name. His name big as hell. And I've analyzed his name. I won't tell you what I've gotten out of it. All those peaks in his name. Let's get into the brain of the child. This is the best thing you can give a human child, breast milk. Because the mother has been tuned into the environment where she had that child. She's tuned into the relationship that she has with that child. Ask any woman that has been with child, and I guarantee you she's going to start telling you about she has some food cravings. Doesn't matter about the doctor giving her that formula for the baby, all right? You know, that special prenatal tablet. She started eating all kinds of things. She's trying to get certain types of amino acids. She's trying to keep a certain level of alkaline balance in her body, all right? Because the baby will tell you what I need to eat. Minister Farrakhan said probably about 35 years ago, a lot of these old men, they don't know because a woman's areola is pretty sensitive and the nipple is absolutely sensitive. And fellas, if you don't know how sensitive a woman's nipple is, think about you catching your scrotum in the zipper of your pants when you're going to the bathroom. It's sensitive like that, okay? So there is a relationship between the baby suckling and the mother releasing a compound called oxytocin and also making milk. That's why a lot of mothers will say to you, people will ask you, are you going to breastfeed that baby? She says, well, if I can, if I'm able, I'm going to breastfeed the baby. Because everything that baby needs is in that breast milk. You feel me? It's all there for the immune system, to help the brain to develop, to help the respiratory system to develop, even to help the baby get a healthy attitude because what? You allowing the baby to suckle from your breast, you talking to the baby, you're handling the baby, and because I incarnated as a male, you follow me? Men, we don't have a clue what it's like to have that little baby making all those sounds, and the baby came out of you, made that baby inside of you from just two gametes, all right? A sperm and an egg. And fellas, if you didn't know, the eggs is like a damn basketball, and your sperm would be like probably like not a raisin, but a kernel or a rice, right? And the egg would be like a grapefruit at least. That's how much bigger it is, or a damn basketball, because it has all the micronutrients there. As soon as that sperm goes through, and it doesn't go through the egg, the membrane, until the egg says it's okay. The egg doesn't let no jacked up sperm in. She screens them. That's why in one ejaculate, it might be about 3,000 of them trying to get in, banging on the surface, and the egg will create a quote unquote opening to allow it to come in, right? But if you got that gangster sperm and she got those kind of eggs, two of them might make it in there, okay? You feel me? And if she's that kind of lady and she has that kind of egg viability, and you got that serious gangster sperm, three of them might get in that damn stand. You have a set of triplets that look just alike, okay? Now, what does this have to do with the brain? Every damn thing to do with the brain. Women don't breastfeed their baby without talking to them, without humming to them, and not even being aware that the baby is listening to your heartbeat. And that's the first music that the baby is basically getting. And if you were fortunate enough to have a companion and you're a binary guy, you like women, you binary guy, and you are birthing a child with this person, you literally can get access to sometimes maybe um, the the sonogram, and they'll let you listen to the baby's heartbeat. You feel me? And it's faster than yours because the metabolism has to be fast to develop the baby. But you're listening to it. And some men, when they nurture and they care for their woman, they can actually put their head on their tummy and they can listen to the baby. You follow me? And they'll listen to the baby. My kids grew up learning all the damn classic songs from the damn Temptations and some Curtis Mayfield stuff because I played all kinds of music to their mother. I would put headphones on her stomach. She didn't really know exactly what I was doing. Like, why are you doing that? I'm like, don't worry about it. You know, I mean, this music is not loud. Well, okay. You know, and I mean, my kids used to jack me when I would be driving them to the school, damn near run through stoplights. My kids knew some of the damn lyrics to songs I had forgotten. I'm like, oh, Daddy, that's not it. You just made that little part up. That's not what they said. And my mind was blown behind that stuff. I took my kid to the brain lab at Howard University when she was a newborn baby and told my friends down the hall that were working with those damn rats, don't come down here asking me, can you touch my damn baby? Oh, she is so pretty. You not putting your hands on, didn't you just leave a damn rat lab? I had access to a lab where we had EEG equipment. They would come down the hall and they told me that I was being insensitive. And one of these sisters was fine as I don't know what. I was like, I would, but I ain't trying to get no date with you down the hall. You handling all those damn rats and stuff and gonna come and touch my baby because you know, look, babies will grab you back, right? Yeah, I was doing all kinds of health experiments with my kid. Unlike B.F. Skinner, put his babies in a damn stroller naked, talking about behavior modification. I just want to see what was going on inside of my kid's brain. Now, you see all the stuff I just told you about the brain? See what happens when you don't get good nutrition? See this brain here? And they want to be extreme and tell you this is the poor child. This is the child that probably grew up in an environment with poor access to a good quality of water, poor access to nurturing food rich in the amino acids to make the protein. His moms may have been super, super busy and let him sit around. And unfortunately, I think it was probably in the late 70s into the 80s when we came up with not giving people petrol for their cars unless it was unleaded because we knew that lead levels in the air would give kids brain damage. And kids also would eat the paint chip off the walls in homes because lead has a sweet taste. and they would eat it like it was like chips. They get brain damage. You follow me? And when I was a chief psychologist at National Children's Center, unfortunately at that time we had a lot of kids that were unfortunately born to parents that were caught up with the crack epidemic. So they had a whole nother set of problems going on with them. So I'm going to start focusing on some things so I can get some people to fine tune us with some comments or some detailed questions. You see this word called teratogens? Some people call it teratogens, but these are teratogens, right? Agents that produce developmental abnormalities may affect the growing organism, resulting in physical and mental deviations. And a teratogen can be too much MSG in the damn food you're giving the baby, too much damn sugar in the damn food that you're giving the baby, red, yellow dye, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 that you're giving the baby. And then there's another class of teratogens that will be called these tetrachlorobenzoparadioxins, right? Those things are toxic as hell. Like I was telling you, you may have heard something about weed killer and stuff like that. People would get it to like kill the weeds on the driveway and stuff like that. And the kids will go out and play in that stuff. I have some slides when I do my developmental class to show people about these kids don't know they put all that poison in the damn in the grass, thinking that that poison is going to not get into their bodies, right? Same thing happened with humans paying attention to what happened with their dogs. They paid more attention to their dogs than they did to the damn children, literally, because this is America. Oh my God, you can't leave that antifreeze out there because the dog is going to lick it up because it's sweet. It's going to screw that dog's kidneys up. That dog probably going to have kidney failure, cardiac arrest, right? But when we do it to children, particularly in certain neighborhoods, they don't know which tests to run because some of those tests are expensive, so they don't run those tests. And if you don't have the right quote unquote Kaiser, what's the other one? Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, whoever your carriers are, Tricor. I mean, it's like you're just out of luck. You feel me? They'll say, watch that child. So I wanted you to know that. So why is this important? You see these foods that fight inflammation? You may not know it, but walnuts, they kind of miniaturely capture what the surface of the brain looks like. They are full of the kind of omega-3, 6, 5 oils that you need. And your brain needs to be lubricated in that cerebrospinal fluid that is dancing around in. And you know, like salmon, I tell black people that are into having special diets, and you can't afford all those other things, buy your behind some damn sardines. Buy you some mackerel. Get some good sardines, some good mackerel. Get yourself some fava beans or some navy beans. Get you some spinach, all right? Always use olive oil. You feel me? Don't put this crap on your body. Lard. Stay away from those fast food places. Those damn pops that they sell you there. And you know, Mickey D's got busted about 5 years ago. Somebody found a burger that they had gotten when they went to prom, and they looked in their vest pocket, and the damn burger looked like you could steal like a regular burger. And they were like, why the hell this damn thing did not mold? Why didn't it get spores on it? Because of the stuff they cook them in, the preservatives that they put them in. You follow me? So you can see what you need to give your baby, what you need to give your children as they're growing up. Remember I told you I was going to tell you what a human is? I'm going to tell you. And the reason why I want you to see the slide is because I started off talking to you about bacteria, remember? And that 1 linear centimeter of your colon, you find, it's all over the place. It's part of the human biome, bacteria. You all know people that eat yogurt. They eat yogurt a lot. Women have all kinds of cravings for special things. I knew some sisters when I was in college in Nashville, and they were with child, and they were craving pickles. I'm like, damn, I thought pickle was a metaphor for a man's penis. But I found out later with my dumb behind that they were trying to get the alkaline balance in their body with the pickles. Because I didn't know. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't know. And as I learned this, I'm like, damn. I also found out that some older black women that lived in the South and the Midwest, they would get this special red dirt, bake it in the oven, and suck the dirt. I did not know that they were getting homeopathic medicine out of it. I didn't know that, all right? Because there were minerals in the dirt. You feel me? They call it clay dirt. You feel me? Now this dude is telling you they want to sell water. You guys are old enough to know when you could go get water out of your faucet and it wouldn't smell like chlorine when you ran it out of the faucet. You all know you could turn the faucet on, it could run for a little while, you could take a sip of water. You also know if you live in the South, you could be outside having fun, frolicking around with your friends, turn on the garden hose, it's really, really cold, get some of that water coming out of that hose, just a sip from the garden hose, right? All that damn fluoride we got in water now, That's what's pissing off a lot of these people in these pharmaceutical companies, because Kennedy is saying we need to stop fluoridating our water. And if you guys had small children, you know when they told kids to brush their teeth, only use a little bit of the toothpaste, because the toothpaste was sweet so that you would use it, but the toothpaste typically have fluoride in it. So here's a definition for a human. All humans. That's why I don't call vanilla people white people. Unless they ask me, then I'll explain to them about the Caucasus Mountains and no sunlight. But I won't drop that on them, right? I'll let Brother Hale Water pull their coat to that, right? So check this out. Humans are hydrocolloidal, carbon-based, photobioelectromagnetic, transducer, aerobic type, eumelanin dominant, pheomelanin or mixed U pheomelanin, bipedal, cerebro-driven life form of organized colonies of bacteria. Now, I remember when I dropped that crap on some people, they're like, oh, Dr. Rasayon, I never heard that before. I said, because maybe you guys didn't know what a human was, all right? Because you thought humans were like black, brown, red, yellow. Those, from my training, were colors of Crayolas in the damn box of crayons. You feel me? They were not humans. That's Crayola crayons. You feel me? But you still meet vanilla people, and they polarize you with that. I was talking to a meteorologist at a particular network in D.C. via email. I must have pissed him off, because after I sent him a second email and told him to stop saying black ice, I noticed he started saying it more. I said, it's ghost ice. It's translucent ice. All right? It's like shards of glass on the freeway. It's ghost ice. It's no such thing as black ice. Because every time you hear black ice, you think about somebody getting hurt, or somebody falling on their derriere singing a damn spiritual because they got hurt like I don't know what. You don't care what you believe in. When you really get hurt, you might say, you don't say, oh Buddha, you don't say, oh Allah, you say, oh God, oh Jesus. You follow me? When you get hurt, sometimes people put G-O-D in front of it when the pain is so excruciating. This dude did not realize that someone like me, another time I'll tell you about his damn eye. I don't want you to think he got conjunctivitis or pink eye. That's a whole nother story. But you are a hydrocolloidal being. Your skin holds things in place around your musculature. You run by electricity. You breathe air. That's why you're an aerobic type life form. You're a bioelectromagnetic transducer, because you get static electricity from your wool clothing. You can get a static kiss from kissing a human that has dry lips. Your lips will pop. Doesn't mean you're in love. That's electrons popping off, right? Babies tune into all this energy. You can modify their brain by the quality of water you give them, all right? They need water, not that crap that's coming out the faucet, not distilled water. They need the water that's actually the perfect ratio of water in the breast milk that they get from their mother, all right? And because babies will just suck on that damn breast, and you don't even give them a glass of water because they don't want it. If you give them some water, it needs to be special kind of water. It should not be distilled water. Look at the human. Though they tell you it's 62% water, that's probably when you're getting over the age of 40. The ratio of water in your body mirrors the ratio of water on your planet. So let's dance with the brain development, so I won't go into detail and make sure we have time to actually talk about it. You see water? You must have some water. You remember the movie Ghostbusters? And the energy got trapped in the city, and the energy was all over the place in the city? You're the same way. They'll tell you probably in about 10 years that some of the breast cancers that women get, that they cannot attribute to saying it was a genetic predisposition. If you're in a toxic relationship, a really toxic relationship, you could wind up with endometriosis, fibroids, and all kinds of little nodules in your breast. But they're not going to tell you that until about, I say probably around 2032, they'll start admitting it to you, right? Because as it is right now, it's a big bang for that chemo. You feel what I'm saying? And there is money to be gained in Western toxic medicine, because it's not designed to keep you healthy. It's designed to get rid of the symptoms of you being, quote unquote, off balance. That's why they call it a disorder or a disease. Your kids will automatically pull those things inside of them, because kids have an incredibly fast metabolism and they absorb everything. Now, see, I put it here again. You see the water crisis going on? You see the water wars going on? You see how everything in your body needs water? And now we have to buy water? Are you feeling me? The food desert that I was telling you earlier. How are you going to modify the brains of a child if you're putting junk food in their body? If you run into a McDonald's or Grindr or Taco Bell or Burger King to get everything you want to eat all the time. Let me tell you a joke. You can take any kid from the north, unless somebody told him or her they have an allergy, take them down south in season, and brown and black people all over the world, and I paid close attention to this when I was in Bangkok. Folk be filling up on that watermelon, right? And so why black people like watermelon? It's cleansing, it's healing, it's good for your prostate, it's always good for your kidneys, it's good for your skin, it's good for your eyes. You follow me? Even the rind has some benefit. But when you live in a neighborhood, you're going to go up the street to get yourself some damn Lay's potato chips and some more junk food. You are really telling your brain you don't like your brain and you don't want your brain. And look at the places where they're having these problems with water, in these major cities where you find brown and black people. So I'm letting you know it's not me. Possible health risks due to water. Why do you think they identify these places that clearly have a disproportionate number of brown and black people? See, it's a thing going on. And we fluoridate the water. Turn your faucet on in the morning. If your body is clean, your nostrils are clean, run it in your sink. As a matter of fact, if your sinks are white and your tub is white porcelain, run the water for about 4 minutes cold, and you might notice that the color of the sink changes and look like it's almost an aqua blue. That means it's got buku chlorine in it. And if you're running that damn cold water and you can smell it, then you know it's got a lot of chlorine in it. Because the same water that's running out your faucet is the same water that's in your damn toilet bowl in the bathroom. It's the same water, all right? And as a matter of fact, well, I won't even give you that example. But look, the Pharaoh actually fluoridated water to sedate the prisoners. You know how they make these slides? This stuff is old. Look, in 1953, the health of residents of Bartlett, Texas, to see if fluoride in the drinking water was affecting their, quote unquote, their health. It was checked again in 53. They found, basically saying this find, that the death Bartlett was 3 times higher than a neighboring county that had 0.4 millimeters of fluoride in the damn water, all right? 1950s, they found that fluoridated water in the prison system allowed individuals to be more subservient, inmate population. So what does this have to do with the brain? Kids come in the house. You remember JJ used to always drink Kool-Aid on the good time? Because that was what they could afford. The average person doesn't know that Kool-Aid is basically colored dye with little crystals of sugar in it, and they crystallize it and make it dry by drying the gelatin from the hooves of cows. You follow me? And they crystallize it, and you got your Kool-Aid. Now, I'm going to tell you briefly about telomeres and how it relates to the brain. I'm going to tell you a couple of social things relating to it. This brain is jacked up. Why is this brain jacked up? This brother been struggling with racism. You've been beat down. The blues didn't just come about because folk wanted to play their pianos a certain way, hit certain things on the guitar. The blues came about because folk knew they were suffering. You can go listen to anything B.B. King dropped, listen to some of Ray Charles' old classic stuff. And that sister, I forgot her name, the one that Elvis stole his stuff from, that were basically sung by this brother, Elvis Presley. You feel me? I mentioned this to you because telomeres. Think about shoelaces on your shoes, and those little things at the end of your shoe. They got a funny name. It's called it sounds like an uglet, but it's not an uglet. I've forgotten the name of it. Those little things that are at the tip of your shoelaces so that they can fuse it together. They're like this to keep the lace from being frayed. When you get older, they become shortened or they become frayed. I don't think I put the sneaker in here to show you. I didn't. I was going to show you what it looks like. Just think of a pair of new Converse and then a pair of old Converse. So racism does this. Now, I told you what you need to do to develop a baby's brain. Music. Fellas, how many times you been in a jacked up mood and your boo would say to you, "Boo, what's up, boo?" Rather than, "I don't know what happened to you today, but you need to take care of it. Don't be bringing all that energy in this house." But if she said, "Yo, boo, you okay? Want me to hook you up, make you a tea or something?" Not pressure back a little bit. You think that's chauvinistic? It's not chauvinistic. Same thing about brothers like, if you're not one of those kind of brothers like Eddie Murphy's character in that damn movie Boomerang, you go and massage your lady's feet every now and then, you feel me? And massage the calf of her legs and around her ankles, unless she got feet like a ballerina, you feel me? And you know, ballerina, they look like they've been climbing the damn sequoia trees out in Cali, you feel me? So I'm trying to make you aware of how important music is, right? With your babies. You're like lullabies. You know, you play music to the baby's brain will produce more oxytocin. You see over here in the red. It will get a balance of the serotonin coming from the digestive system. and less cortisol is around in the brain. And another time, I'll tell you how these things can feminize or masculinize the brain during the first trimester. So rather than me go into details about it, I'm just telling you, you need to play some music. I don't mean even though go-go is cool because the same beat is in West Africa, but you got to play something. Beethoven was a brother. You feel me? You can play something that's more relaxing and more soothing. Brothers don't want to go in and get down and be intimate with that woman playing some serious damn go-go. Unless they're a little high off of something, they might want something a little different depending upon their change in the orientation. You feel me? Because sound is your nutrient, your voice. You have any idea how many women got pregnant when Barry White was busting the charts off the place? Barry White be dropping those love ballads. Isaac Hayes draw one of his tunes. People going home making babies. They listen to that music. They get in the mood to be intimate. Even my boy Teddy Pendergrass, even though Teddy, Teddy kind of like Teddy was who Teddy was. You feel what I'm saying? And some things about Marvin. Music will get you in the mood. Some of you brothers know when you wanted to go get a dance with a sister, you go talk to the DJ. Yo, man, play this song. Play this tune for me, all right? And then when you finally got the nerve, you go and talk to the honey. So the baby's brain. We don't have this. You got damn 7-Elevens in the cities. They got bananas that are never this color. The bananas look like me. You feel what I'm saying? And they got bananas. They say, oh, they're just a little ripe. You follow what I'm saying? You need to be able to go and get some fresh food. And if you were to go in the Whole Foods market, you find you probably can't even afford the damn food there. This food feeds your brain. And this is the prelude to dezombification. Because you become a zombie when you eat dead food. Dead food makes you dead. When you hang around dead people, you do dead stuff. You feel me? I haven't figured out for me yet. There was a popular vanilla group from the 70s, probably into the 80s, called the Grateful Dead. I'm like, y'all have some crazy names for your groups. You feel what I'm saying? And the bottom line is, you become a zombie. You become a spook on asphalt. You become mindless. So let me share with you how you can wake yourself up. I have a whole protocol that I use probably about 3 times a year for certain groups called dezombification. Kids, they don't read. We use text messages, and we will go to Instagram. We were tripping when they thought TikTok was going to be completely gone. We don't read anymore. When you're reading, you're feeding your brain because your eyes have to track and follow the words, particularly when you rhyme. It's a reason why so many brothers can just spit rhymes off the chain, and they just drop rhythms and rhymes. Ancient Egyptians knew that there were certain parts of your brain responsible for that before my vanilla brother discovered the circulation of blood, way before when they realized that the world wasn't flat. Now, this slide I bring up to let you know how America loves her dogs, all right? She loves her dogs. You feel me? Now, this is in Karachi, all right, Pakistan. Now, Americans would not tolerate this. We're talking about what happens inside of your brain, how you feel. I shared this with you before. You see, this many dogs lost their life force. Americans would not tolerate this. How does this make you feel? And so, because I remember Heru talked about the last time when I showed this particular slide, and I also brought to your attention, do you feel anything when you see this? This is what you hear. Remember Donald was talking about people need to go back to those SH countries? You feel me? These kids, they don't have the nourishment that they need, but you think America gives a damn? Do you all remember Katrina? Did you see anybody coming up raising money all over the damn place for Katrina in 2010? Did you see that? I mean, Facebook was creeping around doing this thing then. Did you see anybody donating all kinds of big buckets of damn money for those people? I'm just asking, did you? Did you know that they sent people out during Katrina when people were out trying to find food in stores? They sent out snipers to deter them from going into those stores? Did you know that? Did you know that they have human bodies floating around in that water? They put everybody in the damn Astrodome, and the girls didn't have anywhere to go. The guys, a number of girls were basically abused and violated. They had no privacy. Unfortunately, there are a number of people that lost their homes out in Cali. A number of people, probably anywhere from like maybe 7 to 9% of them may have been people of color. But at least 60% of those people are very, very well off. You follow me? And we've collected all kinds of money for them. I'm not knocking it because anybody that's subject to fire, but here is an esoteric metaphor for you. The East Coast was turning into ice and snow. The West Coast is being caught up with all kinds of fires. And these vanilla people still don't believe in anything that's bigger and greater than they are. The First Nation people will tell you that when those Crooked brothers, oh, I don't want to digress and tell you about it, but when they were taking the Native Americans' water, what happened to the American stock market? That brother named Bernard Madoff or whatever embezzled like 50 billion US dollars and stuff from these people, screwed the whole economy up. And though Obama did some stuff that I had some concerns about, but Obama basically saved these folks with how to manage their money. You feel me? If you didn't know it, Obama also put some stuff in place to deport some people on the other side of the border. But he wasn't dropping it all in your face like Donald Trump saying, going around them all up. They had a quiet protocol. What does this have to do with brain development? Everything. We have sat back and watched the genocide of our brothers and sisters along the Gaza Strip. They've shown us over and over again on television. And the narrative that you hear is, look what happened in October to those people. And they got 50,000 plus people. It's more than that. Because you start looking beneath the debris of people they couldn't find. And every time you hear a comment, these people are infringing on the land of these people. And that's just like you and I having a 12-car garage and we go on vacation and we come back and find out there's just enough room for us to park a damn Volkswagen because somebody decided they were going to take all of our cars out of the garage and say, well, there's enough space for you to park that Volkswagen and that garage is no longer yours. You're like, hold up, I just went out of town for a whole summer. I was only gone for 3 months. Well, we changed the laws while you were gone. You had too much land for a black person. You remember this scene and Malcolm X? Spike Lee had Malcolm to get the Fruit of Islam to go in and find out what was happening to, I think, Brother Bay. And they went to check on him and they looked at the condition and the fruit was lined up like toy soldiers. And them vanilla brother policemen said, well, hold up. He raised his hand and they just turned the hand up, you turn around. He said, that's too much power for one man to have. I think Spike edited out, it's too much power for one black man to have. You follow me? So we're talking about brain development in our children. We forget that stuff like this is oftentimes man-made. It's not on the news because nobody gives a damn about these brown people. But you can look at this brother, as emaciated as he is. You can see in his face, y'all have really screwed up. And you better hope he's not the descendant of shamans, all right? Or kahuna priests. Because I guarantee you, he will sit back and chant something to send it all the way across the Pacific Ocean to tell these damn people, y'all are screwing up. And notice he's completely emaciated. People are leaning over, lying down. He's still sitting up, holding this staff that you guys would call a spear. So why don't we engage in some fundamental questions about why nobody wants this family to be viable, but we definitely looking forward to have this family viable. And so if you don't think your children don't know, when kids saw the wars going on in the news, they knew they were not looking at video games. They also knew that nobody gave a damn about those people. They also knew that their parents were not speaking up. They also knew that it was in the news and people never talked about the casualties on this side other than with numbers. On this side, they started talking about people and names and beliefs. Here, they talk about numbers, which means they reduce these people to objects. So let's have some questions about the brain. They also told you in movies. Check this out. Moonraker. Remember, this is my formula. 4MPC. This is what drives the brain compromise in our children, under the brain development in us as a people. Is money, mayhem, melanin, and mass population control. Money, mayhem, melanin, and mass population control. Now, you know damn well if Barack was running for president, he was trying to come up with his own brand of sneakers because he could play a little ball. You feel me? You know damn well Vanilla Brothers in America would have tripped out. They would be like, hold up, this brother's got basketball shoes? And I pulled this from Moonraker so black folk could see. They didn't have any black people in Moonraker. And they selected all these vanilla people to go out into space so Drax Company could come up with perfect humans. You were not included in that formula because you picked all the cotton, you follow me? And you primed all the tobacco. And from age 18, it should be 16, up to 65, Look at the green line of how they lock up black folk. And then you look at the mortality, life expectancy of black folk in DC from 2018. Process the symbolism. It got worse than this during the COVID virus, SARS. 4 times for Latinos more likely than Vanilla Brothers to receive an adult prison sentence. They lock them up. You locked up, you ain't making no babies. You might wind up getting tagged by a butthole bandit. You feel me? And lose your sense of manhood. So look at the median income 2015, 2016. Look at the Vanilla Brothers. Look at the Latinx community. Look at the black folk. You all remember when the people that picked up your trash were primarily brown people, like in the movie Claudine. Now your Latino brothers have those jobs. The people that would do your lawn was somebody that you in the neighborhood. Now they actually have lawn grooming services. I'm not knocking them because this was their land. But the point is, Dr. Wilson told you, if you black, you're back. If you brown, stick around. If you yellow, you're mellow. If you're white, you're all right. So why don't we go into some comments and questions here and respect that? Because these are the babies they're working on right now as I speak to you. In the labs, they're working for these kinds of babies. They're working to make these kinds of children. They're working on it. Trust me, I'm not making this up. We call it the CRISPR program with genetic engineering and genetic modification of humans, designer babies and designer children, and no one is spending all of their dollars trying to figure out how to get rid of sickle cell anemia, spending all their money how to reverse Alzheimer's. They'll make a medication for Alzheimer's, but they're trying to make designer babies. So let's have some comments here because you guys let me talk and I will not shut up.
Wow.
Because right now it's 21:07 hours.
Woo!
Let's give people the opportunity to funnel some comments.
Yeah, man.
Make some comments, share some of their knowledge and wisdom, and or if they have a question.
Well, I'm gonna open it up for everybody, but bro, you gave a whole lot of information for people to digest. People need to, even people who saw this now, need to revisit it.
Your audio is not active.
My audio is not active? You can't hear me?
Y'all black. I've been talking nonstop. You should tell me.
Or you just have to get closer to the tablet.
Did I lose audio? Do you guys have audio?
You have audio, Doc.
Can hear.
Keep talking.
Yeah, you can't hear me, Haru?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Well, thank you, my brother.
Go ahead. He needs to give you some audio. Okay, let me check this out. I can hear you.
Yeah, that was awesome, my brother. And Baba Mosi is still with us. And once you drop your screen off, anybody that has any comments or questions, because I'm overcome. I while you were doing this presentation, I kept on hearing blacktricity come in my head, blacktricity, because it's so key of how you put it together for people to understand that we have the power to straighten out our minds. And we are destroying our minds or allowing our minds to be destroyed. And it's so important, especially with the work we got to do. But for everybody listening, I'm sure they have questions. I mean, it's a ton of people on Facebook, and I know people on the Zoom. A couple of people have dropped out, but does anybody have any questions or comments that they want to make to my brother? Because your brother, it was excellent. I really appreciate you taking time out to go through this and to showing us so many slides. It was definitely a conscious raising lecture. So, Brother Heru.
Yes. The question I have, when you think about what happens in the womb, is they actually are corrupting the future timeline. At least for the females, it's like 3 generations. For the males, like 2. Because what happened, if you think about what they're doing, is they actually over the lifespan of the child, they're pre-programming their genetic expressions for decades in the womb space. So it's like a long-term effect that happens. So I guess what we need to focus on it, we have to think about bringing back some of our quote unquote our cultural prenatal care, where like over in Africa, where when a woman is with child, the women in the village come together and take care of that woman, and then afterwards, even in Asian cultures, when the child is born, usually the mother gets rest for about a couple for 6 to 8 weeks, and then the grandmother takes care of both the child and the baby.
That's deep because you know what? The grandmothers are doing that today, and the grandmother just may be a few years older than her daughter. And I mean, it's close. They could be siblings, but you're absolutely on point, Baba. I'm glad you mentioned that. Somebody else has a comment.
Anybody else got a comment?
Can you talk about the role of the placenta in terms of filtering out waste and also the process of making sure how the nutrients are being taken out of the mother's bloodstream?
Well, actually, most conscious women, depending upon where they're born, there are a lot of women. They'll tell you they want their placenta to leave with them. They don't want to leave it in the hospital because they take nutrients from the placenta, make shampoo, all other kinds of things, skin products for vanilla brothers and sisters. As a matter of fact, when my babies were born at the Washington Hospital Center, I remember taking my special oils to the hospital and I poured it in that little thing when the placenta would come out because they said they couldn't use it then, right? And I said, can I take it home? And they wouldn't allow me to take it home, right? But in terms of speaking specifically to the nutrients, in all honesty, it's too many. It's honestly beyond the scope of what I could engage in right now. But I would invite you to make a comment about it, and I may accentuate something that you say about the placenta in terms of a woman. I can only point out to you that it's so sophisticated in terms of its matrix, in terms of how it's made. It's literally designed to be a little bit like imagine you traveling abroad and you had to go outside Earth's atmosphere. Everything that you need is in there, and everything is filtered that you need in there. That's why the placenta tells the mother, and via the umbilicus, telling the mother, you need to eat this. And the baby is almost like has a shopping list, like you have your smart computer, your refrigerator say you're low on this. The baby can actually communicate via the placenta to the mother, you need to eat this, you need to eat that. Don't eat any more of that. If you eat that, I'm going to make you throw up. If you do that, I'm going to make your ankles swell. So feel free to add something to that if you like.
Because I came across this one cartoon where they showed the placenta. It's like the century of the child, and it's to protect. And also, they say that I have to verify, but they said the placenta actually comes from the father. Comes from is from the father.
Somebody stepping on your comments.
Wait a minute, hold on. The cartoon it was an educational cartoon, but it said the placenta is actually from the father, and is like the protective role. So I was just wondering, in terms of the ancient cultures, I guess we really need to examine the whole sacred science of the prenatal and postnatal care.
Well, as you know, like I just said, prior to people becoming so westernized, women were allowed to take their placenta with them. And oftentimes there would be a ritual, and the priest would do a special chant and ritual over it. And sometimes they would bury it close to the home in a certain place, and they would recite certain chants over it. But I can appreciate what you're saying, but that's because, like I stated before, Western science is not science at all. Western science is basically a codex or a set of guidelines developed to do certain things in terms of keeping people enslaved. But that's excellent information. I really appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, I see Brother Congo is up too. So Congo, welcome back home. I hope you're feeling better. I don't know whether you can hear me. Can you hear me, Congo? Congo, can you hear me?
Congo, unmute yourself, please.
Yeah.
Yes. I can hear you.
Okay, we saw that at the tail end, and I just wanted to welcome you back home. I'm glad you're back home. And
Yeah.
if you because you set all this up, if you had any comments, because we are toward the closing, but Baba Mosi is on, and Zama did make it to Guyana, so we're glad you're home. So if you had any comments for my brother, because it was, I know you probably didn't see the whole thing, but you wait till you see it. It was awesome. I mean, super awesome. And I know folks are going to be talking about this one for a long time because our brother went into specific detail on letting us know what we can do to better ourselves and raise our consciousness and put our brains back on the blacktricity track for sake. But go ahead, Congo.
I understand. I'm happy that he's here. I mean, I met him about 4 or 5 years ago, and he was dynamic then, and I know he was dynamic tonight. I haven't seen it yet, but I'll see it. But this is the first of maybe a three-part series,
right?
That I like to do. You know, he's heavy. He's heavy. He's very heavy, and yeah, when I saw him, he was doing how people get de zombicide.
Yeah.
And that might be the next name of the next series. But he's a gem that we have in our midst, and I'm happy that he's here, and I hope that our relationship continues. And I'd like to see him as often as possible because he's one of our living giants.
Well, absolutely, you're right on point. It was fab tap. It was blacktastic. I mean,
Oh.
But anyway, I want to give him an opportunity to make some closing comments because I know we're past the 9 o'clock hour, but I'm gonna let him make some closing comments. But certainly, everything he dropped tonight was jewels. I kind of encourage everybody that's listening to revisit this, share it, and study it because I asked people to have their pen and pencils, but I don't know whether they did. But even if you didn't, it was recorded. It will be posted on YouTube soon. It's also up on Facebook. But please know that Freedom Friday is about us coming back into our true traditional greatness. And yes, you're right, Congo. Our brother is probably one of the most powerful presenters that we've had on Freedom Fridays. And I didn't just meet him 4 years ago. I met him some time ago. I don't even remember, but every time I came in his presence, I was always lit up by his blacktricity, his vision, and his brotherhoodness. And that's so important because he's humble, he's focused, he's cleared at all the other great giants that have come out here, ancestors and those that live in. The works are all relevant, and he ties all of that together. So I'll just leave that on that note and ask him to give us any closing statements that he may want to make. Oh, Althea, you got your hand up. Go ahead, Sister Althea, with your
Thank
question.
you. Thank you so much, Baba Senghor, and just wonderful to be here tonight. And for our speaker, thank you so much. There's so much that you said, and I'm looking forward to the next part of the series. And I'm part of some of the communities that look at health and how it relates to not just women, but also uh, young people and people of color, and especially in the Caribbean community. And there's one thing that's come out recently about the I think you mentioned it towards the end about genetics and what's happening now in terms of CRISPR. And I just want to know if you can share maybe part of the next series, share more about that. The information that's out there at NIH and other places is not including Black folk. And what I'm finding is that our communities haven't really learned enough about it. So just wanted to find out a little bit more about that, what it looks like now, whatever you can share in the next part of the series, if that's appropriate. And just really interested in learning more and anything you wanted to share. Thank you.
You all are so mind blowing. Like I have hair. I'm not bald headed, but the funny thing about it is, every time I hang out with you guys, you make it difficult for my hats to fit. Like my head swell up and crap. You feel me? And if I didn't, and Heru always dropped these gems from God knows which solar system he's getting them from, the brothers in Nibiru. You feel me? And I sometimes, as I say to you guys, I doesn't mean I, it means by way of my person. If I didn't have you guys to stimulate me, I would be really, really bored. And I need to write more. I would be really bored. When I say I mean my person would be bored, because you'd be surprised. Academia can be a very dangerous place for young minds if you have people around that have no sense of identity. They're just shoveling information into these youngsters' heads, and they don't have a heading in terms of how to navigate their lives. But I'm absolutely honored. I was trying to set the stage and give you a panoramic view of the significance of designification and to let you know that there are some subtle things that plug into socialization of our children. And believe it or not, neurobiology is behind it all. And as the sister just stated, when you talk about CRISPR, genetic engineering and modifying people at a cellular level, even down to the level of trying to tell their body how to actually unfold and grow. That's where we are now. That's why I made that comment to you about your sophisticated colony of bacteria. And we don't know it. If we did a lecture on relationships, I'll tell you a concrete joke, I'll be through. You can tell who you are really, really connected to by the energy and the quality of the kiss. The quality of the kiss. Because your kiss and the other person's kiss, you're exchanging what the enzyme in your mouth is called amylase, but you're exchanging cellular information. And if there's a match, you will have resonance. And if you don't have resonance, like people in relationships and the relationships seem to be falling by the wayside, I'm talking about children. You can even tell because nobody's really giving you the data. But I guarantee you, if I had like a decent sized grant, I could generate probably 100 subjects in this pool in relationships. And we can tell you children that were born out of a bond and intimacy and connectedness versus children that are just born out of somebody just having a physical exchange. Feel me? Because that's how much information is in your cellular matrix as a human. So it's absolutely my joy and my honor. That's why you cannot talk about psychology without talking about chemistry. You can't talk about chemistry without talking about physics. And you cannot talk about anything on the planet without acknowledging your ancestors. And it's always my joy and my pleasure to come and share my 2 cents worth with you guys. Always. Asante Sana for inviting me. And as long as I have breath in this body, all you got to do is give me a ring, drop me a bell, and I'll be here.
So Baba, before I leave, because I got to roll too, but I want to share something. Baba Mosi just sent me a text. He said he's hearing us, but him and Zama are in Guyana, and they have some technical difficulties, but they can hear us. But he said, thank you so much for the great presentation. And he's looking forward to rewind, and so am I, to revisit it so we can learn more. And thank you so much. I mean, it ain't about me, he or she. It's about we collectivity. Your spirit energy raises our consciousness, and we need that more than ever now. And it's so important. Sister Althea, thank you for joining us. Brother Heru, I'm gonna leave it to you to close out in case anybody else has any comments, because I got to jet and help my queen with something before she goes under. But I appreciate you, my brother. Love you, and we appreciate you so much. And we share this all over the place. By the way, our members in Africa get this. Even if they don't get it on Facebook, they get it on YouTube when you send it to them, because our educational committee is serious about sharing real uplifting, conscious raising information. And you did a great job again tonight. I'll say that a great job. Thank you.
I'm honored. Hotep.
Isana, yes, Hetepu.
Baba Kanko, can you close us out if there are no more questions?
No, I mean, I'm in awe, and I'm happy that he's available for us, because everything starts from the womb until it ends up in the tomb, and that was the subject of this first series, and because the way we act and the way we don't act is it comes from way back. It starts the subject starts from way back in the tomb. Other than that, most people love being black, want to be black. I'm proud of being black, or African in either case. And if because I cannot figure out why people are not Garveyans. And I think Baba Rasayon, he, I think, can explain why we're not doing the things that we're supposed to do as being black, proud Africans. And see you next month, boss.
My honor. As long as I'm on the planet, you guys own me.
All right. Peace.
It's one God,
Good
one
night.
thing.
One God, one aim, one
Destiny.
destiny, and one Africa.
Yes, indeed.
We're working. There's 2 billion of us. We're getting there.
Yes.
All right. Peace, bud. You can close us
One
out
love.
now, bud. All right.